Jött, látott és győzött. Ő Per Johansson, a Győri Audi ETO KC vezetőedzője. Mindenki a trénert látja benne, de mi szeretnénk most megmutatni az embert az edző mögött. Tartalmas beszélgetés következik múltról, jelenről és a jövőről is. Megismerhetjük a bl-győztes szakvezetőt, de nem elsősorban a kézilabda lesz fókuszban.
Per, it's not so long time we know each other, it's almost a year, but of course we have a lot of talks during this. You have also a very special story from a small town from Sweden into the big world, into Europe, and now you are a Champions League winner, head coach of Győr, but please tell me about your roots. Uddevalla is your birth city, if I pronounce it well.
Almost.
Almost. How is it pronunciation?
The town is Uddevalla, who is actually at the west coast of Sweden, around 45 minutes north of Gothenburg. There I was raised, and also where still parts of my closest family still lives. Then we bought also a place out in Hunnebo Strand, who is an old fisher village. Who is at the very coastline, and we also love this place. So, but I'm born and raised in small, not villages, but small towns, you can say.
How is the family background? I was lucky to meet with your father. How were the parents? What they were doing? How it came out that you are now a handball person? So there have been some background in it.
Not so much with my parents. My mother works in a dentist department, and my father works for the state. And I grew up in a typical Swedish family in the 70s, and was warm welcome home. And they give me, I think, the right values, and I have them to thanks, of course, for who I am now. But we didn't have so much sports in the background in the family.
Brother or sister?
No, I'm the only spoiled child, as my wife sometimes said to me that I am. But I grew up without sisters and brothers, and I didn't think so much about it at that time. But maybe now when I'm getting older, I can miss it a little bit.
Of course, it has an effect on the person who is growing up. Of course, you said also a spoiled child in a funny way, but of course, me, like also as a single child, we understand this. This is a bit special. Yeah. You said that you were grown up in the 70s in a typical Swedish family. In the 70s in Sweden, it was typical that to have handball. Sweden has a strong handball culture, both men and women. You have been working in a different various levels in the Swedish handball clubs, national teams, men, women. But how it came out that you are talented about sport, about handball? By the way, did you play ever handball? How it does look like?
I think I was lucky, because when you grow up, you go to school, and then I wanted to be in sports, and I did both handball and football, but I felt from the very beginning that handball was more of my sport. But I have also to thank two professors there, one football coach and one handball coach, who give me, how to say, the foundation about who I am today, also with values. We were traveling a lot when we were young. It was accepted to win. We also learned how to lose, and this was also a very safe environment for me to grow up in the sports. And I played handball. Of course, I was not so good handball player, but I played in the second division. But I felt very early that I wanted to be a coach. So I started to think about this from when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. I was interested to be coach.
Which was the post you were playing in the team?
Of course, the playmaker from the beginning. In the end, when you were not so good, they tried to hide you in the pivot position. No, but I was decent. I was a fighter, and I was good when I was young. But when it took that I need to train more and to put everything in, then I slowly getting more interested in being coach.
And in the coaching work, when you were getting interested, was someone mentor or somebody who helped you a lot? Because if everyone looks your pedigree, it's in the Wikipedia, everyone can write it up. You see smaller teams from quite early phase, and the national team job. So it sees it shows a current development from 1-1, and of course at the age of 53 you won a Champions League gold medal, so I think it's a direct line going up. How do you see right now from this position your past?
No, but I was the youngest coach ever in the handball in Sweden to have a Premier League club. I was only 22 years old. I also come from a situation where handball was really big in my town, and they had some poor years, and they wanted to rebuild the team. And I had two professors there in my club, Nisse Blomqvist and Ingmar Eriksson, who are two legends, of course in my area, but also in Sweden in the handball. And they believed in me. And sometimes I said I came directly from the Roskilde Festival in Copenhagen with long hair. I have to cut my hair, and there I was as a coach. So it went extremely fast. But in that case, I had players who was 6, 7, 8 years older than me. But I was second with the juniors in the Swedish Championship, so I brought them up, and then we start to build. And the third year we qualified for the first division because we were in the second division. And then I left the team after 4 years. That they still played in that time elite series, as we say, is the first league. So it was a kickstart. It was a really hard start because I had to fight for everything. I had to prove myself every day, and I think there I learned that hard work is the key to success, because actually talent is hard work.
In case if handball wouldn't be your profession as it is right now, what do you think where you could imagine yourself? So if Per Johansson is not a handball coach, then what?
I don't know if I have succeeded in music, but it was actually between music and sport, because my father is a musician. He was a really good drummer, and he had played, I think, on 20 records, and he was touring Sweden around, and he was really good. And I also played a lot of music. Of course, this was also totally different clientele with person that you hang out with, but in the end, I choose sports. I don't know if I could have been a professional musician, but maybe this is. But there was a clear, how to say, crossroad where I picked the sport when I was maybe 16, 17 years old.
I also put the question because I know that music is important for you. What are the favorite music you like? I think you are a hard rock fan, or
yeah, but when I grew up, it was first the punk, the 77 punk, the punk rock who came, and then the harder rock like Thin Lizzy, Led Zeppelin, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, and this. But I have always been very broad in my way of like music. So, but when you were younger, you hide it. But there you want to be, tough guy who like hard rock. But I'm Patti Smith and Joni Mitchell, Fleetwood Mac from the 70s is still a great artist that I listen to almost every week. So it's very, very mixed.
Yeah, because of course, if Sweden and music, it comes ABBA on the list, on the top of the list.
Yeah, it comes of course ABBA also, and we have also Roxette, who was also really, really famous. Exactly. But also the singer Marie Fredriksson, who is not with us anymore, was maybe the best Swedish singer when she also did her solo albums. But there is a lot of Cardigans and other big bands who come from Sweden. So we have also good history with music.
Before we go a bit more into your life connection to the handball, you told me once that the backpack and the backpack tour was a huge importance in your life. Is it true that you traveled, maybe not whole world, but a long trip you made?
I think it was because I was thrown in the coach role really early, as 22 years old. It's hard to imagine this, and actually I don't say it stole part of my childhood, but it stole, this period where you maybe do this stuff. But I got the chance, let's say when I was 26, first time to go to Africa. I go on this overland truck from South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, etc. And it was huge to also, fix it yourself, because I did most of the travels myself. Then I was in Asia in one tour, and New Zealand one tour, and also North America, Canada. And I mostly travel on these longer travels. I did it mostly myself. So I was happy to squeeze that in before I was 30, actually. So this meant a lot to me, my confidence. Of course, you saw the world for the first time. You could handle yourself in quite tough moments also on the road. And this also build up my experience.
This was my question, because of course, I think it is around the 90s. When we are speaking about this tour, without internet, without the help of the telecommunication, it was a great challenge. At least, did it give you something what you can bring with you, like a coach, like a adult person?
Yeah, because of course, in that time you didn't have so much money. But even if you have some spare money, I tried really to do these budget tours. You know, where you really could meet people who is living there in the country. One time I went from Indonesia, all of those islands out to East Timor, and also I was hitchhiking in New Zealand just because I wanted to. I just took the taxi out from the airport, and then I spent a couple of months there hitchhiking, and then means that you met people. You could sleep at actually totally strangers' houses, but they were very friendly, and all of this to meet normal people is what I still, for example, like most, you know, who have their feet on the ground. Because I think with a career like I have now, it can be that you fly away, but I all the time wants to stay on the ground and remember what my parents learned me, or my old professors, that don't think you are better than you are. And I think this is important, to be humble for the success, but also to show respect for the people you meet. And sometimes it's also very good to be outside where nobody knows you. This is also a good thing, where we can actually be whatever you want.
We can say that more or less you have been lucky to see most of the world in these tours, not all the part, but which has been your favorite places? So which are the places that Per Johansson likes, and anytime you would go back?
I don't think if I'll go back, but the first time outside in Africa where you saw the animals, and when we did this budget tour, you have tents on the savannah and you see the lions and the giraffes and you saw everything, cheetahs and everything, and hyenas, and this is of course a big memory. Second is, I think, New Zealand. New Zealand for me was a great experience because people are friendly. The country is extremely beautiful, and I met a lot of really good people, and I had a really good time. So, but also, of course, now in later days, I also travel with my wife also. So I think we don't travel so much, but I think all the travels is good for your soul, I think.
You mentioned the animals, and I know that the animals are really close to you. I remember when there was an action, a CSR action for the dog shelter in Győri, you were the first who take the role. I also know that you like horses. The horses are really close to you. Let me know about this relation between you and the animals.
I think it actually started when I got a little bit older, because we never had, I wanted to, of course, have a dog or something home, but I got this this bird. It was nothing, but it was not until I was, let's say, 35. I got the dog, and then I had a dog called Laban, a German Shepherd, for 10 years. We came extremely close. He died 2019. It was actually terrible. I cannot even speak about it still. But this is this part, and I met my wife 13 years ago, and she's also competing on a high level with the horses, and she dragged me into this business, and I'll try to support her and be with her as much as I can, but also I like to be around the horses. This is a good feeling, good energy. And of course this for the shelter, who is in one way here in Győri terrible because it's about the dogs, but I also directly got connected to them, and sometimes it's actually how we treat animals is very bad in the world, and this is sometimes killing me actually.
I think the biggest dog you took from the shelter to a walk, which was the name?
I was Igor, but of course Igor was 55 kilos now, but I found him in a warehouse, 22 kilos, almost dead. He had never been on grass. Of course he was like a little child, and he was very difficult to walk with, and I walked with him many times. I was there many times, but in the end you come so close to him, and I can never adopt him because I cannot, because he's used to guarding territories, so from wolves and from bears. But directly I got attached to him, but also for his story, because all of the dogs and the cats in the shelter have a story, and most of them are traumatic because people have just left them. So it's tough to go there, but yeah.
it worse, I think. And does these times what you spend with animals or with the horses, I know in your free time also in Sweden, and also you are having some times with the horses and with the shelter, does it give you some extra energy or some new things?
But they give me, the animals give you, if you just try to listen or just be close to the animals, like Ann-Sofie's horses or the shelter, if you're just around them, they give you. If you're just good to them, they are just, you know, they are different than humans, but they are also the same as humans, because I get energy from them, just to be close to them, just to stay beside the horses or the dog, just to be around. It gives energy. Not communicating in this people like we do, like we communicate, but just to be around is good. And yeah, and especially the horses that Ann-Sofie have, my wife, especially, they can give me energy. Just if I have a bad day, I can go there. I can just be in where they are, and they give me energy.
Handball is your life. This is not a question, of course. Handball puts
too much, maybe.
most of the time of you. Yeah, too much. And you said also the case. How do you relax? Because I can share, those one who are watching this movie, that of course you're very active in the communication about handball with the players. I think I just only see a part of it, but you prepare the team, you prepare yourself for the trainings, which is a typical coach job, but when it's too much in your head, how is the relaxing time for reading, watching movies, walking? I know that you do some sports.
Yeah.
What is your
I think in the very intense moments, it's not a chance to relax, and those moments you don't want to relax, because you need to be on all the time. And of course, in the longer run, you need to find moments where you need to escape. Of course, it's good to do sports like running or gym. I try to, but I can do it even more. I think the only chance actually to relax for me is to read books. And sometimes you are in period that you read a lot of books, and sometimes you are not in periods. But it's very hard to find moments in when it's like now, for example, or how it was when I came here in March. Then you just need to go all in, and then you try to find some relaxing moment afterwards.
Favorite books or favorite authors?
No, but when I was in Russia 2 years, it was also hard society to get to learn. I started to read Gogol and Dostoevsky and these authors. I really like how they explain the world in the 18th and 19th century. So I can be this, you know, I got stuck in things. Then I just read Russian authors now, and then was a period I just want to read facts about leadership, or like Phil Collins or Graham Henry or whoever it is, and now it's mixed. But sometimes I also just need fiction, just to don't need to think so much when I read, but it's a lot up and down. My favorite, let's say Charles Bukowski, who's an underground author. I like him a lot. And Patti Smith also wrote a lot of, but this old beatnik generation I always go back to. Yeah.
In Europe, of course, you have possibilities for the animals. We spoke about it, and also sometimes to get some relax. But as you mentioned, Russia, you have been traveled like a handball coach in different cultures. You have been able to be in Romania, Montenegro, Russia, and now in Hungary. You have a strong basis of comparison, but how do you see Hungary, especially also Győr and the Hungarian people?
I think first of all it's connected to where you actually work. You know, I'm connected to Győr as a club, and I was very warm welcomed by the club. There is a good infrastructure. It's a good things are working in the club. This is of course secure for a coach to come here. The fans, I think I have a good relation with, and I like Győr because it's a little bit smaller, or much smaller than, for example, Bucharest or Rostov, for example. And I like this, that you have the nature also just 10 minutes outside Győr. It's the nature. The Hungarian, of course, I don't know so much Hungarians personal, but I think they accepted me, and they have been nice to me. Maybe it's because of my position, but they are calmer. I will not compare them, but maybe more like the Russian, that they are a little bit like this calmer, and a little bit like this. I think you need to prove yourself first if before they let you in. This is what I think, but I like it here in Győri, and I like how the people have treated me so far. But of course, I also know it's connected to the results we make.
Of course, it's always contact in the life. This is always. But I would like to also know the reason that you, and only by yourself, you put a high importance for learning Hungarian phrases, words, sentences. Is it a kind of respect from you, or not? Because, of course, other girls in the team as well do have Hungarian lessons, but you are very advanced on the learning process. What do you think about the language?
Of course, it's respect, but it also to be interesting to be in the country. I also read Hungarian authors. For example, I'm interested in the history of Hungary, why it is like it is today, and how it was after the wars, etc. This is interest, because you asked me before in the interview what makes you relax. I also desperately need to come out from this handball bubble. I need to be somebody else than only the coach, because in our job it's so easy to be just a handball coach. And it's of course also respect, but also of course if I spend a lot of time alone outside the handball. I want to go to a restaurant to order, I want to pay, I want to say it was good. I want to ask for the way somewhere. This is also to get in the society, because in Hungary not everybody speak English. Of course I have okay German, but of course it's. But I also see on people when you try to speak their language, they get happy, or they are. I think you also get respect if you show them respect. So it's a base of interest to learn the culture, history, the language, but also respect where I am.
It's also, I heard that some people with huge eyes were watching that, and I will say it on Hungarian, that they have seen you in Győr at the vásárcsarnok, on the market. It's also not common that you go into this one, but what brings you there? What is the reason? I'm also going there. I like it. But...
No, but I did this in Romania, in Russia, here also, because I like to be around normal people. But first of all, there is the quality food. I always go on this market. I don't know the name, but every Saturday we were there. Now this Saturday we buy mush, we buy egg, we buy vegetables, because it's fresher. It's better. Everything is better in the market. And it's also, I also grew up in Sweden with these big supermarket chains like ICA and Coop we have here is Interspar, but I better to go to give my money to the people who is actually coming there with the things that they have grown themselves. And I think it's also it's better quality, and I think it's also healthy.
And also it's very good ingredients you can find for cooking. And as I know, because you have been many times outside on the world alone, that you also cook.
Yeah, but I'm not I try to cook, but I also like, for example, I learn, for example, I not learn, but I all the time this Kirke Mai and Kirke Siv, for example. This also I need to learn the language, because none of them there can speak English, for example. Then I need to know what to ask. I want shunka, I know shunka, yeah.
Again.
Yeah, you say, and so you can also. Because otherwise you are always nervous when you come to a place where nobody can speak your language. Of course they don't speak Swedish, but I don't speak Hungarian. So I cannot all the time think that you can find a common language. Then I have to learn. And I think when you spend so much time, of course in the beginning you go out for a restaurant, but this is also actually a way of relaxing to cook. I'm not a master chef in any way, but I'm decent.
When we speak about this interview and I ask you to choose a place which is close to your heart, you choose this Szélfiai Fogadó, close to Győri Nyúl. And also we speak about food, because it's also very good food for you. How is the Hungarian kitchen for you? What is your favorite until yet you tried? Because I know that you are open-minded.
I can say that my favorite, I will not pick up favorite restaurant, of course this with
the food.
I like to go outside, and I like to eat deer. You say deer, game, and here they have a perfect water buffalo. I don't know if it's typical Hungarian, but for example, the goulash is extremely good here. Of course, this is mainstream thing to say goulash, but overall they have good goulash. I love this soup with liver dumplings. Of course, you can get a decent schnitzel. You can get these stuffed things, but it's very heavy food in Hungary, and this is also something you need to think about when you have the job you have with the stress and everything. Maybe don't eat so much heavy food, but I like the East European food with stews and I just like the region's food. I try everything.
You also take a lot of tours sometimes when you are free, so you like the surroundings around you, right, in nature, because it is also makes you relaxed, if I understand.
Yeah, but this is how I'm raised. You always had the nature. What I miss here is the water. This is because if you lived by the water, almost not full life, but you miss it when you don't have it. But the nature is great around here. The surroundings, like here in Jul or in Tenjo or in Pannonhalma, or it's close to Balaton. We were skiing in Kranjska Gora for a week ago, for example. There is many things you can do with limited time also, because as a coach, you never have a lot of time, but you need to find the 1, 2 days, 3 days rest and do something else.
When we were speaking earlier, then you told that you are not a typical Scandinavian, not a typical Swedish. How it came up? Why you do say this?
But I think
you are not blonde, first of all.
No, I was blonde when I was young. Now I'm grey. But I think it's more that people tell me that I'm not a typical Scandinavian. I think this is more, and then I think of course, I'm influenced by. I have my Swedish base with values and everything, and but I have also been in quite tough environment, like in Rostov, in Győri. Here now is tough, and in Bucharest, in Montenegro, also Holland. I needed to, you know. I want to be Swedish as much as possible, but I also know that in some situations, or in many situations, you need to adopt where you are. You need to adopt to the person you speak to, because she or he have her background and how raised in different ways. I have been good to adopt to different cultures. Now I'm in Hungary. Not a typical Hungarian team, but the club is Hungarian, my staff is mostly Hungarians, my bosses is Hungarians, the society is Hungarians. So there is always a mix. Of course, when I speak with Norwegians or Swedish, we can speak in a different way than I, for example, can do with the player from Balkan or from Russia or from Hungary. I think this is the leadership. The leadership is to adopt, to try to squeeze out the maximum of the individual.
How, let's say, how you are quite passionate, like during the games also, sometimes in the life, how sometimes you explode really fast, of course, and your face tells clear emotion, so nobody can blame you that they don't see nothing on your face. How do you see yourself?
But most of the time, I'm not like this, but for example, people who just see me on the games, they can think I'm an idiot. What kind of idiot is that running around there? But also, I know that Kari said one thing when you have this, I don't know, Christmas wish, that he can be very loud, but he can also be very silent. And I think I try just to be loud and be with this explosion when it's needed. But if you see me every day, because we have 20 hours before we come to the game in the training facilities, of course I'm not like this. I'm normally quite calm, but I have my buttons, and I also have, I think I'm good at knowing when I need to push and when I can, because I can also be very relaxed if I feel that my team is working in the way that we have decided.
We spoke about previously that the handball results, and of course, first of all, we wanted to speak about handball, but we cannot skip it. And you also told that you have been some results, but the Champions League victory is also a huge milestone in your coaching career. How do you see yourself and this way from the coaching at the age of 22 until almost, let's say, 30 years of coaching, when you can get the highest club medal which a coach can get with the gold medal in Champions League? How did you celebrate it? What was it meant for you? Because it was quite a special situation.
I think I actually, it's so strange when you say 30 years, but it's actually 30 years. But the years have been so fast, but also some slow. I have never been like a careerist. I have always picked, you know, that you told to me that I have been also in small clubs, because I have not so important to climb fast. Of course, I was early out. I have had 3 national teams. I have won the World Championship in Sweden. I have a silver with Sweden, etc., etc. But in the end, the dream was always to win something big. And there were so many things here when I came, because the team was not in the best shape. They were shaky. I came here and I knew that this was maybe my last chance to win something big. And also I knew that the club had not won for 5 years. And beside Olympic gold, I think Champions League gold have always been the biggest dream for me. And I knew it, that I have maybe one chance now to do it. And the way we did it, and the way we, in the end, was the champions, was an amazing feeling. But also, I felt it like we also brought the trophy back to Győr, where Győr have suffered not to win the title. You cannot win the title every year like you think here, but we will try to win it every year. But it was an amazing feeling, actually. It was also how the girls treated me when I came, how they supported me, how they directly believed in the ideas I have. This is also who is. It's sometimes I think it's Karin Boye who said this is it's the journey to the success who is the important. But this group last season, how they supported me, I have never experienced this before. Never in my life with such a skilled group with world stars players who actually from day one they were on. Even when I was an idiot or I was screaming at them or doing crazy things, they always supported, and in the end we won.
And that was important. You are across cameras on the games, but when you achieved it, what did you do when the cameras didn't see you, or how was you going to bed, or what was the next morning when you wake up? Okay, I'm a Champions League winner coach. So what is a satisfactory feeling, or when it came?
Yeah, but all the time you fantasize how it will be when you win, and you see yourself jumping around and laughter. But the strongest feeling is relief, that you're just relieved that you didn't lose. This is strange, but we didn't lose. This is the strongest feeling. But when I came back to the hotel room, I spent some time with the medal and something else, and just there I felt proud and I feel honored. And in the morning, when you wake up in the morning and you take 2 seconds before, okay, I realize I won. Then those days here when we came back to Győr with the fans, with everything, it was my biggest achievement and the strongest feeling that I'm quite good at what I'm doing, because I'm not going around all the days and think that I'm a super good coach and I'm a master coach and I have been around. No, I don't. I all the time think I can be better. But in that moment, I felt good.
And this moment is something giving you energy also, because of course we know that even before the Final Four there was a prolongation for this season. And right now in this season when we do this interview, it's also out that you will stay more longer. So this gives you a lot of energy and hunger, that we can say.
Yeah, of course it's get hunger, because if you win the Champions League, you are forever. I think forever you have achieved something. I will be remembered for this Champions League title here in Győr. But if you have won one time, you want to win, and this is the trouble with being a coach. You need to win one more time, and you need to suffer one more year. You need to put a new team together, because this is a new team. 40% of the team is new. And now we are in a good run. Now we have 6 months together, but we are still struggling with things. But this to build and build and build, and then hopefully be the one who is there and bringing the trophy again. Because there is possibilities. If you are a coach in Győr, you have the chance. It's not realistic that we win every year, but you always have a decent chance to win. And we have also a decent chance this year to win.
Uros came for your request last season. Yeah. And he's also prolongated for this and the next season. How is your cooperation works? Outside it seems to be really good, but how do you think about it inside? I
have always picked, difficult assistant in that way, that they are experienced, they have good knowledge, they have been somewhere else. It's my history is like this. Uros is a head coach for Serbia, Slovenia, Ljubljana, CU, etc., etc. He's a typical head coach, but why I picked him, he's Balkan and he is really, really good in the small details. The details and the small details. And he also have things in his leadership that I don't have. I'm better in this overview, making sure that we follow in the plan, all of this. But I needed somebody who can work with small things with the players, in trainings, for example, or with small talks, or at the bench. I needed somebody strong personality, but also a guy who is very experienced. But most of coaches, they just bring an assistant, because they are afraid of the knowledge or the competence. But he also teach me things. I also learn things from him, because in my mind you can all the time be better, and things that he speak about is also eye-opener for me. But I think he is a very good complement to the girls, because they know that Per have of course, the full responsibility, the bigger picture, everything, but you can always go to Uros to speak about these things, like these small things. You see what I mean? You understand what I mean? Or Eltelt?
Of course,
yeah.
Of course.
So he's good. He's good on the other things also, but that's why we are complement each other good.
Also, you mentioned some speeches, Zoltán Holanek, Zoli, about the physical part is also a special science territory. What there will need to be. How is the situation with the other Hungarian coaches and colleagues in the club?
We have good. We also, when a new head coach comes, that is maybe new thing, but I cannot change the full system everywhere. But I can change the relations to people because they are grown up in Hungary. They are raised in Hungary. And I'm raised in Scandinavia. Then we need to find a middle way that works for me and works for them. I cannot be like a Hungarian, they cannot be like a Scandinavian. And this is also my job because I'm the coach of the leaders. And this also takes time. You have Eva Kish, who is a good goalkeeper coach, where Kristina was physiotherapist, Zoltán, Tami, Gary, and I will not, Timea, I will not miss some doctors, for example. But you need to find also their personal relations. How do I want my reports? How... they need to know me, for example, but we are also there in a very, very good way because I want them to feel safe also. They also need to be in a situation where they can do mistakes or where they can sometimes, but we learn every day we are together, we learn. So this is not group therapy, but it's about how I want it, of course, but also that they have to come closer to my style, but I also have to come to them.
Stupid question, but of course I checked a bit the social media, and also there was a lot of question that people were strange when you are holding the team timeouts and you're sitting on the bench and the girls are standing. What is the reason for this?
First of all, if I sit, I have, for example, Kelly Dulfer there, who is, or Kari, who is the defense boss, and I have Jörgensen or Estelle on this side. Then I know where they are, so I can address them. Then it's easier for me to see whether, but also I started with this because I think I'm calmer. I think it started like this. Now I don't know. Sometimes you can see when I'm stressed, I go out on the court. But if I feel that I need to sit now, and then I sit, I'm more convenient with this. But also that I know where I have the key person that I spoke mostly to.
Practical things.
Yes, it's practical things.
We spoke about the Champions League victory, but maybe not always these big things are the most remembering events. What are those things you remember in your periods in year, so in this 1 year? Because it has been a quite tough and 1 year for you. Lot of games, lot of tasks. Olympic Games was also there. By the way, I think it was also a huge thing for you as well to be there. So how did you live this period? What are the things that you want to grab from this 1 year?
I think I came to Győri in an extraordinary situation where we had this final every week. We need to win to Vipers again. We have Debrecen, we have Ferencváros, we have NSZ. It was like 6 do-or-die games, and also some things as a coach you cannot learn by studying. You cannot learn by. You need to be in the moment. And when I had this pressure, of course, when I came out from this and we were the winners, of course, it gave me confidence. Then directly into Olympic Games. For you representing Netherlands, for example, not for example, I represented them. It's a big thing for them. It's pressure on every game. So let's say there in 3-4 months, I had 12 do-or-die games that you maybe coaches never have in their life, or you maybe have 2-3 times in per season. So all of this period there, when you get united, when you get to learn people, when you get to learn yourself, of course you are not peeing in your pants next time you are in this situation. For example, I was totally calm in the Champions League final. How can you be totally calm? It's 18,000 people or 15,000 people. Yeah, because I had 5 games before who was more pressure. So actually the final, I was just enjoying. Without stress, without nervosity, because I had it in my belt. You know, I think that if you train on something, you become good, or you have to go out because you cannot fix the pressure. This is for me. For personally, I can show that I can handle huge pressure.
The pressure is a key sentence. Of course, everyone knows that it's another level of pressure here in Győr, or in the major team stats, we can say, where you have been. If you look yourself in current situation, 1 year passed from Győr with a huge expectations, winning a Champions League, and after, of course, everyone wins it again. How do you feel yourself here? So how is your status when you are waking up in the morning? Of course, it's something positive as you sign the prolongation.
But it's every week starts is pressure. It doesn't matter. The bosses in my club now, Győri, they said we want to win all the games. I have only lost 3 games since I came here, but two games already this season. You live with the pressure every week. But you also miss the pressure if the pressure is not there. So you are in some way you are destroyed, you know, mentally as a coach, because sometimes the pressure is really high. But if you don't have the pressure, oh sorry.
Don't worry.
If you don't have the pressure, you are missing it. So I think we are adrenaline junkies, or we are, you know, if you have a big game every week to look forward to, it gets in your body that you want it, you know, because you need it. You need to suffer, you need to prepare, you need to do this process. I think it's just become a part of yourself that I'm sometimes a little bit worried about, because who will I be when I don't have this pressure? I don't think I will be the coach who will feel, or the person who feel that, oh good, now I have 10 years with pension here, for example. This is a scary thought sometimes, but sometimes it's too much, but it's worse when it's too less.
And the final question. We speak about your way to the current situation, and of course you open now a bit more time phrase about the 10 year. But how do you look yourself in the future? And not maybe in the close future. I do not want to speak about right now in this interview about the season 24, 25. But let's say at the age of 60, next 7 years, what do you want to achieve? What is your fuel? What is your motivation? And where you want to be?
I think I'm in the correct position now for myself also to do my job in Győri. I can see myself being here for a while. I don't see what I should do after this, because I think, not a dream, but you wanted, yeah, it was a dream to try ETO one time, and now I'm here, and if I can play my cards good, then I will probably stay for a while. If I play my cards bad, I will be out. But I'm a bit worried about what to do, what the next step is. I have not planned so much for the future. It have just come, these jobs, and I don't know. I think it will be hard to go somewhere else from ETO. If you have experienced ETO, maybe a couple of more years, hopefully. Then the next step is not so simple. Then I think I will go back to men's if I will do handball. If I will continue with handball after ETO, I think I will go back to men's.
Yeah, I hope that it will be later as possible, and you will have a lot of successes, Per. Thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you. Thank you very much.